aware that people need to be fired all the time. That's just a fact of life. Business evolves, the wrong talent. It's one thing if you have to close an entire plant. That certainly is more difficult in Europe. But you're a startup, you're a young company, you're not going to have 300 people in one location anytime soon. Your problem is that you hired the wrong sales manager, you hired the wrong application engineer, you hired the wrong HR person or whatever it might be. There are always mechanisms to terminate employment in a way that works for both sides. You just have to follow the customs and the rules of every place. So you cannot fire people overnight, just like you very often can't fire them here anymore. I mean, you know, the situation 20 years ago is not the situation today. You have to be very careful on how you let someone go. And the same is true in Europe. But there are accepted rules. You may have to pay 2 or 3 months of severance. That's not very different from what's happening over here. So just research what the situation is in the particular country in advance, and then you won't have surprises. Typically, people look at the hiring conditions, and they forget looking at the separation conditions at the same time. Probably the most important point in my book is know what you don't know. And of course, that's very difficult. You know what you know, but you don't know where your gaps are. And if you don't know where your gaps are, how can you find the right advice to fill the gaps? And I would advise to go through a small exercise with your team. It doesn't have to be very complicated, but essentially put down on the whiteboard the various functional areas of expertise that are needed to go into a particular country and figure out where your gaps are. And that could be pretty simple. I mean, this is very simplistic: marketing, finance, HR, and probably you have a lot longer list of gaps, but let's say it's in marketing, you're unsure of the channels, you're unsure of some cultural issues. In finance, you don't know the tax treatment, you don't know about the international financial rules about consolidating accounts back into US GAAP. In HR, you might be unsure of some of the local benefits and laws. So once you know where your gaps are, you can then try to address these gaps with particular expertise. And these are just very quick ideas, but you could have focus groups in order to bridge the cultural issues, specialized firms on the tax side, some of the big 4 firms on financial consolidation. Local European law firms obviously will be able to give you a better idea about the laws in a particular country. The York Group is one of my favorites in terms of channel building internationally. So now you have a much better idea on what it will take to be successful in that particular country. And here are some of the guiding principles. Very important, never box yourself into a dead-end situation, because that is typically just very expensive to get out of. Try to have alternatives. No matter what you do, always have plan B and C to move in different directions. Double and triple check any decision that has a legal implication. Lawyers love hasty decision making because it involves very expensive fixing down the road. That doesn't mean that your current lawyer loves it, but I think the profession in general loves it. And share your strategy. If your advisors don't know what the game plan is, how can they help you? So you may have your strategy in your head, and may be crystal clear to you, but share it. Let some, certainly of the trusted people around you know what it is, so that they can give you some pointers.